So after skewed rotor, there is a next topic is a slip ring rotor. So it is a continuation of construction of induction machine. Now squirrel cage rotor is over, and next one is a slip ring induction machine. So this is the slip ring induction machine. So the difference between squirrel cage and slip ring is in a squirrel cage we have less rotor resistance. So because of less rotor resistance, high starting current and low torque and low power factor. So these three problems can be overcome by the slip ring induction machines. In a slip ring induction machine, it is made up of silicon steel material. In a slip ring induction machine, outer periphery semi-open slots are placed. On outer periphery semi-open slots are placed. In a semi-open slot, there is a rotor winding is placed. In a skewed rotor method or squirrel cage rotor method, only copper bars are placed, but in the slip ring induction machine, there is a winding is placed. That is three-phase winding is placed. See in the figure. In slip ring induction machine, in slot three-phase rotor winding is placed. This winding is shown in the figure. RYB is displaced with a 120 degrees displacement. This three-phase winding is carried out and connected to the external resistance. Carried out to the external resistance. See that RYB phases are connected to the external resistance through the brushes and slip rings. A three-phase winding which is in the rotor slot is carried out and connected to the external resistance through the brushes and slip rings. Through brushes and slip rings. This external resistance gives a more resistance. In a squirrel cage induction machine, it has the only disadvantage is low resistance, rotor resistance. Because of low rotor resistance, there is a high starting current and low power factor and low torque. So that problem can be overcome by the slip ring induction machine. If the slip ring induction machine extra resistance is given to the by the external resistor. So external resistor. So the three-phase winding is carried out and connected to the external resistor. Slip ring induction machine. In the fourth point, squirrel cage rotor has a low resistance and slip ring rotor has a adjustable resistance. So we can adjust the resistance to the any level, high, low or any level. So the external resistance is the variable external resistance. Here is a slip rings are the phosphor branch material and brushes are carbon brushes which are mounted on the shaft. In the slip ring induction machine, slip ring offers the high rotor resistance. The slip ring machine offers the high rotor resistance. Disadvantage is squirrel cage is the low rotor resistance. Seventh one, in slip ring induction machine, rotor poles are not induced poles. So the very important thing is that in a squirrel cage induction machine, rotor poles are induced poles. If any changes in the stator poles, the same changes done automatically on the rotor poles. Okay, but in a slip ring induction machine, the rotor poles are not induced poles. If stator is designed for 4 poles, then rotor also designed for 4 poles. If any changes in the stator poles, that same change is done manually in the rotor, manually in the rotor, manually in the rotor, on the rotor. In a slip ring induction machine, rotor poles are not induced poles, so the poles are changed manually. Eighth one, number of phases on rotor and stator. Sorry, number of phases on stator and rotor may or may not be same. So here in a squirrel cage and slip ring induction machine, the number of phases on stator and rotor may or may not be same. So the stator will be designed for the definite number of phases, but rotor is not designed for the any definite number of phases. Okay. So and in a squirrel cage induction machine, the stator poles, what are the stator poles? The same number of poles will be projected in the rotor. But in slip ring induction machine, the number of poles on stator is 4. That same number of poles are not projected on the rotor. The rotor also be designed for the 4 poles. Okay. At starting, rotor resistance is maximum in slip ring induction machine. So at ninth point, the at starting rotor resistance is maximum. So in this figure, the external resistance is maximum under starting, and the running rotor resistance is minimum. So once note down that in a squirrel cage low resistance, because of low resistance, the reason is because of low resistance we are going for a slip ring induction machine. In a slip ring induction machine also, the resistance is required more. It is possible by the external resistance. The resistance must be more at starting only. If the resistance is more at running, there is a copper losses will be occurs. So keep resistance is maximum at starting, because if the resistance is maximum at starting, the 3 problems in squirrel cage like high starting current, because of resistance is less. But in a slip ring induction machine, resistance is more, so starting current is less, and torque will be TST proportional to R2, because in the slip ring induction machine rotor resistance is more, starting torque is more. And third point, because rotor resistance is more, power factor is more. In the slip ring induction machine. So at starting, rotor resistance is maximum, under running rotor resistance is minimum. So this is the construction of slip ring induction machine. Slip ring induction machine offers a high rotor resistance, and squirrel cage induction machine offers the low rotor resistance. Slip ring induction machine is the rotor resistance is more, so torque is more. Slip ring induction machine gives the more starting torque than squirrel cage induction machine. Working of 3-phase induction machine. So this is the working of 3-phase induction machine. See that. So these are the starter frame, starter slots, Here open slots are there in the figure, but not open slot optically. It is a semi-open slots used in the induction machine. In a semi-open slot, there is a slot, windings are there. That winding is called the armature winding in the starter slot, and rotor winding on the rotor copper bars on the rotor slots, and shaft is there, rotor drum, rotor winding. So when it is under slip ring induction machine, rotor bars is called rotor winding, and if it is 12 gauge machine, then it is a rotor bar only. Starter frame, starter core, starter slots, starter winding, a rotor core on rotor outer periphery, rotor slot, that is semi-open slot. Kindly correct that. Here in figure there is a open slots are there, but it is not open slot, it is a semi-open slot. In a semi-open slot, a red color rounds, red color is a rotor bars, and green color is a starter armature winding. So listen carefully, here is a very confusing and very interesting. First of all, it is a very interesting topic, working of three-phase induction machine. Right point to point. The number one point here, in three-phase induction machine working. Topic is a three-phase induction machine working. So first, in a three-phase AC supply is given to the starter armature winding. First one is a three-phase AC supply is given to the starter armature winding. Whenever a three-phase AC supply is given to the starter armature winding, then there is a rotating magnetic field will be developed. Because to produce a rotating magnetic field, the rotor and starter armature winding displaced with a space angle of m by 360, and current in a winding displaced with the angle of m by 360. M equal to 3 by 360 means 120 degrees. If winding space angle and current time angles are same, that is 120 degrees and 120 degrees, if both are 120 degrees, then rotating magnetic field will be developed. As I said, first point, a three-phase supply is given to the starter armature winding. If the starter armature winding and the current in the starter is displaced with the same angle, that is 120 degrees, then there is a rotating magnetic field will be developed. When rotating magnetic field will be developed, the magnitude of the rotating magnetic field is decided by pi net equal to m by 2 pi m. M by 2 pi m. The magnitude of rotating magnetic field is equal to m, pi net equal to m by 2 pi m. Here m is the three phases. If m equal to phases, if number of phases are 3, then pi net equal to 3 by 2 pi m. 3 by 2 pi m. So 3 by 2 pi m, that pi net equal to 1.5 pi m. 1.5 pi m. The stator rotating magnetic field, not rotor here, it is stator rotating magnetic field, magnitude pi net equal to 1.5 pi m, and rotating magnetic field rotates in the air gap with a speed of ns. That speed is called the ns. That speed ns is called a synchronous speed. The synchronous speed is related to stator. Again, a synchronous speed is the stator flux speed. Synchronous speed is called stator flux speed or rotating magnetic field speed. A synchronous speed is related to stator, and the stator flux rotate at speed is called synchronous speed. Ns equal to 120 f by p. The stator flux speed is directly proportional to frequency and inversely proportional to the poles. So the stator flux speed depends only upon the frequency and poles. Once three-phase supply is given, then due to three-phase supply, rotating magnetic field will be developed. The rotating magnetic field rotates in the air gap with a ns speed and with a magnitude pi net equal to 3 by 2 pi m. Rotating magnetic field rotates in the stator core and air gap with a speed of ns. So this is third point. Now coming to fourth point. So this is what I said. Rotating magnetic field magnitude depends upon the number of phases. M by 2 pi m. M is the 3. Pi net equal to 3 by 2 pi m. So this is the magnitude of rotating magnetic field. So this rotating magnetic field rotates in the air gap. Rotating magnetic field rotates and cuts the stator conductors. So three-phase supply is given, rotating magnetic field developed, and this rotates in the air gap and also rotates in the stator core and cuts the stator conductors. Then when rotating magnetic field cuts the stator conductor, then EMF induced in the stator conductor is called self-induced EMF. It's called the self-induced EMF. E1 equal to 4.44 F1. F1 means stator frequency, N1. Pi m means mutual flux, and kW. kW means winding factor. kW equal to kp into kd. kp means pitch factor, kd means distribution factor. So here is the E1 self-induced EMF and E2. Now, so E1 is the self-induced EMF. Now the stator rotating magnetic field rotates in the air gap and also cuts the rotor bars. When rotating magnetic field cuts to the rotor bars, then EMF induced in the rotor bar is called E2 or mutually induced EMF. Rotating magnetic field, see the 6th point. Rotating magnetic field rotates in the air gap, cuts the rotor conductor. Then EMF induced in the rotor conductor is called mutually induced EMF E2. That E2 equal to 4.44 F2 N2 pi m kW. Here it is like similar to transformer EMF equation. In a transformer equation, there is a F is F only. Here is the F1 and F2 is there. Because in the transformer, the frequencies are variable. That only in a transformer, the frequency is same. but in a induction machine the frequencies are two, that is the starter frequency and rotor frequency. Starter frequency and rotor frequency, see that they clearly F1, F2, E1, E2. Okay, so this is E2. Now E2 EMF induced in the rotor bars and E1 EMF induced in the stator bars. When E2 EMF induced in the rotor bars, if the rotor bars are short circuited with end rings, observe that if rotor bars are short circuited with the end rings, then there is a closed path in the rotor bars. Because of rotating magnetic fields cut to the rotor conductor, the E2 EMF is induced in the copper bars. If copper bars are short circuited with the end rings, then I2 current produced in the rotor bars. So I2 current produced in the rotor bar. Now I2 current, due to I2 current is there in the rotor bars, when this condition is called the current, rotor bars are now current carrying bars. As per Faraday's law, as per so see the ninth point, due to current in the rotor bars, to satisfy the Faraday's law, rotors are rotating. Because of the current is there in the rotor bars, as per Faraday's law, whenever current carrying conductor, that means rotor conductors, whenever in current carrying conductors, here conductors are rotor conductors, rotor bars, current carrying rotor bars. So as per Faraday's law, whenever a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. So because of current in the rotor bars, to satisfy the Faraday's law, the force will be induced in the rotor bars. That force is called the Lorentz force, equal to PIL sin theta. The force act in the direction of rotating magnetic field. It is to satisfy the Lenz's law. So the rotor rotates in the direction of stator flux or rotating magnetic field direction. Okay, so to satisfy the Lenz's law, the rotor rotates in the direction of rotating magnetic field. So the rotor rotates with the so rotor rotates with the speed is called the NR speed. NR speed. Rotor rotates with the speed NR, and rotor rotates and try to reach the or catch the stator flux speed or rotating magnetic speed, that is NS. The rotor rotates with the NR speed and try to catch the NS. If rotor catches the stator flux speed, or NR is equal to NS, if rotor reaches the rotating magnetic field, then flux cutting is 0. That means if NR equal to NS, the flux cutting by under rotor bars is 0. When there is no flux cutting to the rotor bars, then EMF is 0. If there is no EMF in the rotor bars, the current is 0. When current is 0, torque produced is 0. Then machine will be stop rotating. Then machine will be stop rotating. When NR equal to NS, machine will be stop rotating. So you see here, simply again we remember that the all points are given here. 3-phase supply is given to stator. 3-phase AC supply is given to stator. Then rotating magnetic field developed. This rotating magnetic field rotates in the air gap with a speed of ns, and it rotates in the air gap and cuts the stator conductor. The EMF induced in the stator conductor is called self-induced EMF, and the same rotating magnetic field cuts the rotor bars. Then EMF induced in the rotor bars is called mutually induced EMF E2. If rotor bars are short circuited by the end rings, then current produced in the rotor bar, that due to that current, the current carrying conductors are placed in the magnetic field, then experience a force. Then machine will be rotates in the, to satisfy the Faraday's law, the machine will rotates, and the direction of rotation of machine rotor can be known by Lenz's law. So the rotor rotates with nr speed, and stator flux rotate with the ns speed. The rotor try to catch the ns. If nr equal to ns, then flux cutting is 0, EMF is 0, current is 0 in rotor bars, and torque produced by the rotor bars are 0. So the machine will be stop rotating when the rotor speed and stator flux speed are rotating magnetic field speed. Stator flux speed and RMF speed is same here. So when nr equal to ns, machine stop rotating. When rotor speed nr is the rotor speed. When rotor speeds are less than stator flux speed, machine works as a motor, and rotor speeds are greater than stator flux speed, machine works as a generator. So this is working of three-phase induction machine. So it is clear that a three-phase induction machine is running because of rotating magnetic field is developed in the three-phase induction machine, and three-phase transformer is not rotating because the rotating magnetic field is not available in the transformer. Now coming to synchronous speed ns, it is a stator related to stator, ns equal to 120 by p. Rotor speed nr and slip, here it is very important, slip s equal to, it is the difference in the stator flux speed to rotor speed by stator speed flux speed. ns minus nr by ns. ns is the stator flux speed or synchronous speed. nr is the rotor speed by ns. Slip speed is equal to s ns. From above formula, ns minus nr. Now coming to the equivalent circuit of rotor. So this is the equivalent circuit of rotor. Draw the diagram. SE2 R2 SX2. Here R2 is a rotor resistance, SX2 is a rotor reactance, S means slip, X2 reactance. SX2 means here the rotor reactance under running condition, SE2 means rotor EMF under running condition. S is the slip, R2 equal to rotor resistance, X2R equal to SX2 rotor reactance, S means slip, X2 reactance, E2R rotor EMF under running equal to SE2 rotor impedance Z2R that equal to R2 plus JX2R, I2R equal to E2R by Z2, rotor frequency F2 equal to SF1. Here S equal to slip. When slips are between 0 to 1, machine is running as motor. When slips are between 0 to 1, the machine is running as motor. When slips are negative, the machine is running as a generating mode. The induction machine running as a generating mode. When slips are positive, the machine is running as a motoring mode. When slips are equal to 1, when machine is running at a standstill condition. The S equal to 1, that means Ns minus Nr by Ns, that Ns is equal to Nr. If Ns equal to Nr or Nr equal to 0, Nr equal to 0, the rotor speed is 0, then Ns by Ns equal to 1. To get a slip 1, slip formula, write a slip formula first. S equal to N minus Nr by Ns. In that, replace Nr equal to 0. Nr equal to 0, then Ns minus 0 by Ns. Ns cancel. Then S equal to 1. So, to get a slip 1, the rotor speed must be 0. And slips are positive, that means the rotor Ns minus Nr by Ns means slips are positive. When Nr values are less than Ns, Nr values are less than Ns, then only slips are positive. So Nr values are less than Ns, that means motoring mode. And slip values are negative, Ns minus Nr by Ns, the Nr values are greater than Ns. So this is the equivalent circuit of rotor. So for this equation you write for this circuit you write an equation. As I know that from Ohm's law, V equal to IR and I equal to V by R. But here it is a impedance circuit. I equal to V by Z. Z means R plus JX2. So write a equation, write your own I2 or IR. IR equal to EMF, that is SE2 by Z2, that is SE2 by R2 square, R2 plus JSX2. So you are saying I2 equal to SE2 by under root. Here J is removed because of J, the root. So R2 square plus SX2 square under root. So this is the I2 formula. So from this equation, for simplicity, so In a denominator, s is taken as common, so s s is cancelled, s e2 e2 s is taken as common, so here is not written. I2 equal to s e2 s root r2 square by s plus x2 square. So denominator s actually is here is not written, but s at denominator, and in numerator s is cancelled. R2 by s equal to R2 minus R2 plus R2 by s. So here R2 by s equal to plus R2 minus R2. If plus R2 minus R2 is cancelled, then the value is R2 by s. So R2 by s is in that R2 plus R2 1 by s minus 1. So take a common and substitute that value same. So remove there is no s in the numerator. I2 equal to E2 because s is cancelled here. So and the numerator cancel the s value, only E2 is there. So in place of R2 by s, R2 plus R2 1 by s minus 1, R2 plus R2 1 by s minus 1 square. In the denominator, kindly remove s value in the numerator. I2 equal to not SE2, it is only E2 because s is cancelled at the denominator. So remove that s value. So here E2 equal to R2 by X2, R2 by s equal to R2 by 1 by s minus 1 square. So for this equation, I2 equal to E2, delete s, I2 equal to E2 by under root R2 plus R2 into 1 by s minus 1 whole square plus x2 square. For this equation, this is the equivalent circuit. So R2 and H2 is there, here H2, and R2 1 by s minus 1, there is a R2 1 by s minus 1, and here is the E2. In place of E2 is there, there is no s is cancelled because of the denominator s is there. So this was a equivalent circuit of rotor. So in this variable R2 by s is called the mechanical load of rotor. Mechanical load of the rotor. So R that we can say that RL rotor load, RL equal to R2 1 by s minus 1. Now coming to losses in induction machine. So we have the different losses in the induction machine: stator losses, stator copper losses, and stator iron losses. Now rotor losses are rotor copper losses only. In a rotor there is no iron losses. In induction machine and rotor there is no iron losses because in an induction machine rotor frequency is very less. Because of rotor frequency is very less, rotor iron losses are very less. So in rotor the copper losses are only present but there is no iron losses. And next one is the mechanical losses. These mechanical losses are the friction losses and bearing losses and windage losses. So these are the mechanical losses. In starter, iron and copper loss are there, but in rotor, only copper loss are there because of frequency is very less in the rotor bars, and mechanical loss are the friction, bearing losses, and windage losses. So this is the next one, power flow diagram of induction machine. So as we know, here is the copper losses are the loss which exists in the starter winding or starter copper winding. The copper losses are the losses which occurs in the starter copper winding, that is I square R losses. The copper losses are directly proportional to the loads I square R, but starter losses are iron losses are, it depends upon the frequency. If the frequencies are constant in the starter, then iron loss also constant. Rotor losses are rotor copper losses only there. This rotor copper loss are variation with copper loss are variation with uh, rotor loads I2 square R2 square, sorry, I2 square R2 copper losses. This rotor copper loss also say PCU and mechanical loss. Next topic is the power flow diagram, power flow of induction machine. So in a power flow of induction machine, so it is a study of understanding of power consumption of induction machine at various stages. So whenever a three-phase fixed voltage is given, fixed power is given to the starter, so it varies and it flows from one portion to another portion, and it reaches to the shaft and its output level. So various stages can be understood by this. So in a power flow of induction machine, the three-phase input power given to the starter, draw this diagram, three-phase input power given to the starter, then there is a, in that the three-phase power, in that three-phase power, the starter utilizes that power, small amount of power, in that manner of losses. So that starter losses, the starter losses, that may be starter iron and copper losses. And after utilizing the power by the starter, and starter release the some power, that power is called the starter output power, and the starter output power is projected into the air gap, and that starter output is also called the rotor input. So that starter output is useful power from the starter. Starter output power is the input to the rotor. So this power is utilized by the rotor. So that power is wasted in the rotor in the manner of rotor copper losses PCU, and the remaining power is the power developed by the rotor. That power is called the gross mechanical power developed by the rotor. So this gross mechanical power is developed by the rotor. That means rotor output power is input power to the shaft. At shaft also there is a losses, mechanical losses and shaft output losses. Also mechanical losses, and the remaining power is shaft output power. So three-phase supply is given to the starter, then that power is wasted in the starter is called starter losses, and remaining power is the starter output power or rotor input power. The starter output power is the rotor input power. rotor input power. So that power is wasted in the rotor. It's called copper losses, and that power is remaining power is the output of the rotor. It's called the gross mechanical power developed by the rotor PM, and that power is next sent to the shaft. In the shaft there is a mechanical losses and the output power at shaft. So these are the various stages of the three-phase induction machine. Power various stages. Power flows in the various stages. Power flow. P1 is the input power to the starter, and P2 is the input power to the rotor, and P2 is the rotor copper losses. PM is the gross mechanical power developed by the rotor or the rotor output power. Okay, thank you. Next slide.